beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Ghislaine. It is July 14th. Kind of okay Monday morning where I'm at. I already got a little run in, a little workout, so I'm feeling good. A little bit of kind of semi-overcast, but got a little sun, got a little workout in. Don't mind. Beautiful morning. Glad to be with you guys. Glad that I didn't have to pick up a shift today. I thought I was going to, because I was like, man, it was a information-packed weekend, and so we have plenty to go over with you. I will warn you, probably try to keep this under an hour and a half today. I know we normally keep these dumps around, I don't know, what do you say, like probably around 2 hours is usually what they are, but this one's probably going to be, try to keep it under an hour and a half. I got shit I got to do. But yeah, I'm glad to be with you guys. Outside chance I may not be with you all tomorrow, just a little warning, although I think I will be. So I think I'll be here every day this week. So I should be, it looks like we're on track for a full week, though. I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot going on, especially fallout from this weekend, with more to come there. But as we have been doing as of late, let's start off with a little bit of a little movie. As soon as I can find it, here we go. Let's go ahead and get into it while we wait for the rest of the class to show up, and then class will be in session, and we'll have our mandatory good mornings. Everyone will say hi to the class, and hi Susie, hey Jimmy, and we'll all say our good mornings, and we'll proceed on with the topic for today. But let's watch this video. This is I found this particularly hilarious, and so I want to share it with you guys. Plus, it kind of perfectly, intros basically the majority of what we're going to be talking about today. But without further ado, let's go and play it.
Seriously, it does seem like a cover-up. People are saying it's Mossad and CIA and that people in the White House are implicated. I'm giving advice to people now that live in this country. Choose the pedophile you agree with. Choose the pedophile whose values are yours. Who is the pedophile who has a pro-business attitude? Is there a pedophile who cares about the climate? Who wants better schools? Probably all of them. Who is the pedophile that's going to keep us out of costly foreign wars? Who is the pedophile who's going to make sure your children have a shot at the American dream? You cannot ask that they don't fuck kids. You cannot ask that. And you're going to argue with your wife about it. It's not going to be easy. John, he's a pedophile. Honey, listen. Our taxes have been going up year after year. It's hard to pay the rent. Don't you want to own a fucking house? Johnny has sex with children. Honey, listen to me. I don't agree with everything this man does. We need a pedophile who's on our side. When do we get a pedophile who's on our side in this country, honey? A pedophile who's not going to get us into wars. What about a pedophile for peace? A pedophile for peace. When the Mossad emails him those tapes, he goes, so what, boys? So what? You got me fucking a bunch of kids on an island. But guess what? This war's not in our interests. This is going to be the new campaign ad. You can't blackmail me. I'm a pedophile for peace. Sure, a couple of videos came out of me having sex with a mask on in a barn with a couple of younger women of question.
I don't even really have any commentary to provide. This is just hilarious, and it's just I don't know, just a fun way to intro it. I haven't pausing though, because I'm pretty sure maybe copyright issues, but I don't think my little stupid giggles providing zero commentary provides this fair use. But let's keep going, because now I provided commentary, and that commentary was, I don't think I'm providing commentary. But let's go on.
Age. But I didn't shrink when I was blackmailed by the Mossad. I didn't shrink. I didn't send our brave men and women in a war. I sat there and let them release video after video of me violently assaulting children, while I said to myself, I'm not going to put my country in harm's way. I won't do it. I'm making investments in the future of this country. Sure, I'm a pedophile, but I'm a pedophile for peace. These war-torn pedophiles want to sacrifice your children. I just want to have sex with them. I'm a pedophile for peace.
The fucked up thing is, if actually there was someone who, actually, I may say that obviously the quandary here, the conundrum is you couldn't actually say it, because then you're going to investigate, you're fucked. But if there was some way where someone could like wink and nod and be like, hey, if they put out any fucking, if they put it out any sort of blackmail, I mean, wink, wink, I don't really give a shit, then I don't know. I think that could actually go a long way. So as silly as this is, this might very well be our future in 5 to 10 years. So with that, guys, let's go ahead and say our good mornings. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Black Eye. Good morning, Tom33. Good morning, Eddie Grimm. Good morning, Bug Fights. Good morning, King David. Good morning, Queen Calnats. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Mulgera. Good morning, King David. Good morning, Ray. Good morning, John Black. Good morning, Hey Say What Now. Good morning, Uncle Kaczynski. And nice try with the mailing address. Although I will say I do actually, thanks for reminding me, actually. I have a P.O. box that I swear I've needed to set up for like months now. So, yeah, I need to go set that up. Actually, I think I've already paid for it and everything, so I probably will add that into like my little video / podcast description at the bottom if you guys ever want to send me something or whatever. There you go, because I have had people send me stuff in the past, so at some point we'll do that. So, nice try, Uncle Ted. By the way, does my audio sound funny? It's like reverberating to me weird, so I don't know if maybe some mics being odd today. Let me know if it's coming over weird at all. I haven't seen any complaints in the chat. But either way, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Dr. Nick Rivera. The doctor is in session. Good morning, Andrew Jacobs. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Doctori420. Good morning, good morning. He said, Doctori says the Greeks just made it legal after they couldn't stop people from fucking kids. Yeah, unfortunately, we're almost there. As fucked up as that is. In a weird way, it's almost like the cell is almost like I can kind of get it. I'm like, well, like, here we are. You're like, I know, obviously, I'm not saying legalize that shit or anything, but it's just, if you could get back, I mean, the people at the tippy top seem to be compromised, and it's like, it almost, as silly as this is, it'd almost just be able to be like, it'd almost be better if there was like a 2-tiered system where it was almost like, okay, well now let's just have this understanding that the elites get to devour our children, and the game is we hide them. That's what hide and seek is. We hide our children from the elites, and then if they get them, they get to have them. That's the deal. It would almost be better, because then you could be like, you wouldn't be able to use that against them for undue decision making or some shit. So, which I guess that's just describing monarchy, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, so here we go. Tom says the 5D chess is for Trump to expose everything. Like I fucked these kids, so all you could know is what they're up to. Exactly. 5D chess, baby. All right, guys, let's get into some form. Okay, someone's saying sounds fine. Cool. So I am getting feedback on the audio. Maybe it's just my my headphones. Maybe I need headphones or something. Because, yeah, it's a reverb for me. But all right, let's go ahead and get into some foreign policy. Well, we're going to try to rapid fire through these somewhat, but these are important. We need to keep our eye on them. But nothing like too crazy. I guess, I mean, obviously, like we're talking people dying, but, you know, comparatively speaking towards our normal day in, day out of what's going on in foreign policy, nothing too crazy. So we have the Gaza ceasefire looking like it's basically fallen through. Looks like it's not happening. We got, so this is from the Cradle. Gaza ceasefire talks collapse after Israel's occupation demands. So essentially, they're asking for way too much. This indirect negotiations between Hamas and Israeli officials hit a deadlock in Doha, as Palestinian and Israeli sources say the talks are faltering over the scope of the proposed Israeli military withdrawal from Gaza. The discussions are based on a U.S.-backed framework for a 60-day ceasefire and the phased release of Israeli captives, but key issues remain unresolved. The Hamas reportedly rejected Israeli proposed maps that would relieve 40 to 45% of the territory under occupation, including all of southern Rafah as well as parts of northern and eastern Gaza. So, I mean, we can just kind of cut to it right there. We don't really need to go any further into the story. That's really... Because keep in mind, as we covered last time, the ins and outs of this, the big sticking point throughout this is, remember, there was this initial ceasefire deal that we had when Trump came into office that was arranged by Witkoff. That was actually before he even got into office. And under the terms of that deal, it was supposed to be either, I believe it was a full withdrawal, and it was supposed to be a phased thing. We were in the first phase during that initial period of the Trump administration before Israel just flagrantly just broke the ceasefire, broke the deal, which they were already breaking the deal before that, but they just like in a very resolute manner, like boom, boom, missile, 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 missile type way. Like, yeah, we're definitely breaking, as opposed to shoot a civilian here and there willy-nilly and be like, well, he was charging at me, so we didn't break the ceasefire. Anyways, point being is, and so since they've broken that, then there's been this like game, this frame game being played by Israel and the U.S. to be like, oh, they won't take a deal. It's like, well, there already was a deal, and then now also so then they try to be like, well, you know, they threw it, not Iran, but Hamas throughout this has been like, we'll bring you back, like come back, and we'll just have to just come back to the same deal we had before. That's it. And so essentially, Israel wants to come back and then give them a worse deal. And essentially, Hamas wants some sort of commitment towards Israel stopping, getting the fuck out, committing to a ceasefire, something along those, whereas they will give any sort of concrete committing to ceasefire. We're seeing these 40% things. Hell, even so a lot of this was hung up on like assurances from us, which I think there were two separate levels of assurances from us through these different variations of this deal where we said, oh yeah, they totally will commit. So, but that means nothing. At this point now, our word, we give so much assurances. I haven't even really been covering the day in, day out of like the Lebanon's, ceasefire, like breaking over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's just ludicrous. It means nothing. The word of Israel and the word of the United States by extension mean nothing on the world stage at this point. So it is like, why do all these things falling apart? Well, we have no goodwill on the world stage as well. We shouldn't. This is the consequence of, I don't know, acting in such a duplicitous, disgusting manner with every other person on the world stage. Other than, I guess, people who are like completely in lockstep with your scam. Anyways, yeah, it's a ridiculous frame game to kind of make it look like, I don't know, like these guys don't want to work towards peace. Whereas throughout it, the terms being given are just kind of just trash over and over again. And also, I didn't even mention, which I think we're going to get into in a second, one of these other stories, the component of the fucking concentration camp. So like also with this, they're not willing to really commit to it. I believe they've gotten in some of these deals some sort of allusions to assurances from us that we will press or get Israel to commit to a complete and utter like done later. But doesn't like I said, what does that mean? And then also on top of that, they're talking about making concentration camps. And they're not talking about stopping, and they're talking about using the time in the ceasefire to construct them. So, I mean, the idea that Hamas would be like, oh yeah, sure, we'll take this absolutely god-awful fucking deal and give you complete room, as much room as you want, to construct camps to keep us. It's a very clear signal you don't intend on actually following through with, ironically, the assurances the U.S. has been giving them in these different variations of the deal. It's clear as day. How can you be constructing ceasefires and be like, yeah, in like 60 days or so, yeah, we're going to get out, we're all done. Yeah, give it like 60 days, we'll be done. Yeah, no one's going to believe that. You'd have to be fucking retarded, and you're just giving them the room to do that, and they're just going to flagrantly, I know, it's just astounding to watch the duplicitous nature of Israel, and more our nation as well. We at least, it seems like in the world stage, while we have been the bullies in the past, couple decades, we at least tried to have some sort of rhetorical or, some sort of perception of honor or something, or some sort of, off-ramp to be like, this is the reasoning for this. Whereas No, we're just like, Israel has been for a long time, though. They've just been disgusting every person, any ceasefire, any sort of diplomacy, anything. They just behave in the most disgusting, up into a ludicrous degree. You hear like intelligence agents talk about interacting with Mossad, and they'll just be like, we're allies, and they'll just be treating us like shit. But more and more, we are becoming this, and it's just gross, really. I mean, I guess, don't get me wrong, I don't like them anyways, but it's just, frankly, it's just astounding when you're just like, look how we are on the world stage. Why would anyone believe us? So there's all this pearl clutching you always see from many of the commentators out there about, America, and how we're supposed to, I don't know, bring peace to the world, or this to that. Dude, shut the fuck up. I don't know, it's just gross. And then on that, here's this is actually a story I was talking about. Former Israeli Prime Minister says Israel's plan to build humanitarian city in Gaza amounts to concentration camp. Because, that's what they're calling them. Humanitarian cities. Former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert said in an interview published on Sunday that the Israeli government's plan to build a so-called humanitarian city on the ruins of Rafah amounts to a concentration camp, warning that if the plan is carried out, it could be considered ethnic cleansing. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz first announced last week that the government wants to concentrate the entire civilian population of Gaza into a camp in Rafah. Katz said that once Palestinians are inside the camp, they cannot leave. It is a concentration camp. I am sorry, Omer told The Guardian. If they, Palestinians, will be deported into the new humanitarian city, then you can say that this is part of an ethnic cleansing. It hasn't yet happened. Omer, who served as Israel's prime minister from 2006 to 2009, said that ethnic cleansing would be the inevitable interpretation if the plan is carried out. When they build a camp where they plan to clean, in quotes, more than half of Gaza, then the inevitable understanding of the strategy is that it is not to save Palestinians, it is to deport them, to push them, and to throw them away. There is no other understanding that I have, at least, Omer said. The former Israeli prime minister claimed Israel is not currently carrying out ethnic cleansing. Well, that's silly. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other Israeli officials have made it clear that is the goal of Israel's current military operations. Well, I guess his line as well, when they make the camps, that's bad, but okay, whatever. According to Israeli news sites Ynet, Israeli officials estimate the construction of the humanitarian city will cost between $2.7 billion and $4 billion, and that Israel may have to take on the cost by itself. The initial proposal involved building essentially a sprawling tent camp that could house 500,000 people. So 2.7 to 4 billion. Do you guys really think that that's going to be them covering that cost? Because I sure don't. Kat said the initial plan will be to move 600,000 civilians from the Al-Mawasi area of southern Gaza into the concentration camp with the ultimate goal of forcing all of Gaza's civilians into the area. In his interview with The Guardian, he also criticized Israel's actions and settler actions in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. It is unforgivable, unacceptable. There are continuous operations organized, orchestrated in the most brutal, criminal manner by a large group, he said. Many of the attacks in the West Bank are carried out by a group called by a group known as the Hilltop Youth, which Omer said should be named the Hilltop Atrocities. He said the settler attacks couldn't be happening without support from the government. There's no way they can operate in such a consistent, massive, and widespread manner without a framework, support, and protection, which is provided by the Israeli authorities in the occupied Palestinian territories. And we're going to come back to another story like that. I know we've been covering the daily death toll, which is not fun over here. 134 in the past 24 hours. So that was over on Sunday. They killed 134 Palestinians. Some of these were at the aid ones again. I know. So the strikes on Sunday, these were the bombing of a water distribution point in central Gaza's Naseret refugee camp. So they hit a water distribution camp point in a refugee camp. That killed 10 Palestinians, 6 of which were children. So only 4 out of 10 were actually adults. I mean, how many of those were actually anything that was any sort of threat whatsoever to anyone in the state of Israel? I'll leave that for you to decide. I have my opinions on that. 16 others were wounded. According to Reuters, Israeli military claimed that the water site wasn't its intended target and that it was meant to hit a Palestinian Islamic Jihad target that was a few dozen meters away. Although Al Jazeera reported that water distribution points are frequently targeted. So that one was an oopsies. Just we'll call that one oopsies. And then on the settler thing I was telling you about, well, over in the West Bank, they killed an American. One of those pogroms I've been telling you about, over and over again. Well, there was an American, one of those Americans, I guess, up there visiting family in the West Bank. So, at first you go, why the fuck would anyone be over there? It's the West Bank. This is supposed to be, and it has been. I mean, obviously it has, periods of upheaval, but it's supposed to be relatively, speaking, slightly more, I don't know, more civilized might not be the word I'm looking for particularly, but more, I mean, it's usually less shit popping off there. I mean, yeah, there's some settler violence here and there, but it's a little bit more, from my understanding, not a Gaza, not a Gaza type situation. More of like a Israel light, or Israel like light, like LITE. So yeah, I don't know, but anyways, because at first I was like, what the fuck, and then I thought, I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of my perception. I mean, there are people that are Palestinians that live over in the States, and this is one of them. Apparently, this guy's from Tampa, which makes this even more significant for me. 20-year-old from Tampa. This guy was Saifullah Musalat. Fucked up your name. So him and another Palestinian were killed in a settler attack near the village of Sinjil. He was beaten to death while Al-Shalabi was shot in the back. Al-Shalabi was his friend. Well, the American, he was beaten to death, and so their bodies were carried through the streets of the village of Al-Mazra Al-Sharqiya on Sunday. The funeral had been delayed a day. So the witnesses said that settlers threw stones, used batons, and opened fire on Palestinians and Israeli activists who were in Sinjil as part of a weekly Friday gathering that was organized in response to growing settler violence and threats against residents in the village. He was visiting family when joining the gathering in Sinjil. Relatives described the attack. There were 3 settlers on the age of 18 who attacked us with batons. Then a pickup truck arrived with more settlers. 2 of them in the back were armed with M16s and wearing army pants. He said that the mass settlers were the same people who attacked the village a day earlier. They started throwing stones from their car, and Saif was hit in the back. He said the settlers then opened fire, causing the Palestinians to flee. It was planned. They surrounded us from all directions. He said there are currently no settlers detained by Israeli authorities on suspicion of involvement in the murders. His family said that settlers beat him unconscious and then blocked ambulances from reaching him for 3 hours, and he died on the way to the hospital. The family is calling on the U.S. State Department to lead an investigation into his death. Now, this is where it's going to get really disgusting. Like, this should make you... I mean, it's one thing, okay, people all over the world, they die, this, that, and you're like, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying... Just like I'm not saying when, some Israeli dies from Mossad or some shit, I'm not saying we need to have some fucking, jihad on whatever the fuck because, something happened to American, civilians somewhere. But it is, to some extent, I think it's the job of the government to take care of their citizens to some degree, if there is any reason for them to exist whatsoever. So at least that's generally the conception. So it makes sense that they should at least look into it, do something, try to hold someone accountable in some way, shape, or form. Do what they can. I'm not saying like you go, I mean, obviously it's someone in another country, so I do think there's, to some degree, I do think there's less of a onus on the home government of dealing with that, but it is the citizen. So that's someone who's, they essentially have been paying money to you their entire life to make you their essentially security force. So I do think it is on you as the government to some degree at least try to, come to some sort of conclusion on the matter of something like this. And, okay, this is what so back to that. The family's calling on them to lead the investigation. This is a quote from the family. We demand the U.S. State Department lead an immediate investigation and hold the Israeli settlers who killed Saif accountable for their crimes, the family said. Now listen to this. The State Department confirmed in a statement to CBS News on Saturday that an American citizen was killed in the West Bank, but referred questions about any investigation into the incident to Israel's government. But just as actually been their going stance for a while now, they've kind of stopped answering a lot of questions. I forget the name. What was her name? Like Tammy Bruce or Tammy something. She looks like a Tammy, which is kind of a cunt name. Sorry if there's any Tammys out there that are cool, but it is. But yeah, this has been her kind of going one is, I'll refer you to Israel, which for one is like an annoying fucking cop-out, and it's a whole other fucking level when it's like, dude, we're talking about an American citizen. Like, no, you're supposed to be asking the Israeli government questions. That's what's being asked here. This is your fucking responsibility. That makes me, especially since we all know if this is any other country This would have been handled totally different. Hey, we're just a simple like, hey, we're talking to the proper authorities. We're looking into it. We have our own private our own investigation being carried out. We'll try to come to some sort of we'll report back to you on your findings at a later date or something. And this is just slapping your face, spit in your mouth. That's all that this is. Like, hell, even like, as I just said, those standard questions, those return questions, even that, at least, like, then they just don't ever follow up. But at least you give that, like, at least. But just why don't you ask Israel? That's just an insult. And to perceive that as anything other is just ludicrous, frankly. Like, I don't know. I guess I just don't even understand how these reporters don't get more pissy. I mean, I guess I do, because all of them, it is like their access is very much on the line, but. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I just couldn't deal with it. I'd just be like, well, fuck you too. Like, I don't know. What do you even say as a reporter if you're like, we'll refer to Israel? Like, okay, well, just fuck me then, I guess, right? Like, what do you even say to that, right? Like, that is just an insult. And frankly, it honestly, it merits such a response. On the plus side, we have the Houthis are committed to the ceasefire of the U.S. So this story right here, this is apparently... There are just statements coming out from both sides of the parties here between the Yemenis and us, that despite the recent pushes from Israel and the attacks by the Houthis on some of the commercial vessels, that we are still, between the Yemenis and us, are still supposedly, at least rhetorically, committed currently to the ceasefire, because nothing has been broken, and so far as any sort of ceasefire. Those commercial things, had nothing to do with our ceasefire. They weren't from our country. I think they were going places that, according to their essentially embargo, Yemen's embargo, they weren't supposed to. I mean, it doesn't make it okay, but this is the terms of the deal. So on the Yemen side, it says our military operations remain directed exclusively at Israel. Should the U.S. re-engage in the conflict, any escalation will be met in kind from their side of the things. And on the other side, we have a senior U.S. official saying that as long as the Houthis aren't shooting at American ships, the ceasefire is still in place. So, hey, that's a positive. So, looking good there. So, that is good. Now, one last story I wanted to go through, you guys. This does seem like a weird one. Hey, why is Jose covering this? It'll become a little bit more apparent when we get to the end of this. I had one little nugget in there that I did really want to make sure that you guys caught, because this concerns other things. Now, this is Russia slams report that says it backs deal for zero Iranian nuclear enrichment. Now, where this is really going to go is, surprisingly, kind of a swerve into some other stuff in here. I'm like, it looks like we might be getting a situation where, Trump is essentially given the rhetorical off-ramp for Israel to provide more strikes. And us being in a position where we're like, well, we said it was okay. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into it. This is by Dave DeCamp. Obviously, I forgot to mention these for a lot of these, but I think all of these were so far. I think the first one might have been like The Cradle or something here. All right, so here we go. These are over at antiwar.com. At least, actually, all of them, I got them from antiwar.com, but some of them Dude, how long was I gone? What the hell even happened? That was so weird. When did I go? That was so weird. What even happened? What time, guys? When did I go? Okay, I gotta Jesus Christ. Wow. I've never had StreamYard do this to me. That is so weird. Man, what did you guys... Okay, where was I at last? Someone in the chat let me know where I was at last. I have never had to do that to me. Like 5 minutes ago or so? Wow. That is so weird. Okay, well... then all that you guys probably missed was the... That is so weird. That really is so weird. I've never do that. I mean, like, yeah, I know I've been better at, looking back and forth between... And I do need to follow up with a guy who said he would give me the dual screen, because I keep forgetting to. But whoa, what a fucking weird... I mean... I know someone said that says when you started the anti-war article. I mean, it wasn't like that crazy of info. So but that was just weird that it would. I've never had to do that. That's I'm really okay. Well, I'm sorry. I guess I should have poked over and checked sooner. But wow, that's just weird. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess just real quick run through it again for whatever was missed there. That's very odd. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. No, this Russia story, what I was kind of getting at, which I guess you missed a bunch of ranting. Whatever. I got a little sloppy at there anyways, so whatever. I mean, what the fuck? That was weird. Okay. What the hell? Now now the layout's all weird all of a sudden. I don't know what the fuck just happened there. What is going on with this? StreamYard must be glitching out or something. This is weird. All right. What the fuck? All right, sorry. It's being bizarre here to me. It's like all the layouts, it's being odd and everything now. This is just weird. Unlike unsubscribes. This is also, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't be having these sort of weird issues. We have a lot of good content too. What the fuck is going on here? It just changed my fucking layout all of a sudden on me for no fucking reason. All right, whatever. I don't know what's going on here. I'll figure it out. All right, whatever. Just know that for some fucking weird ass reason that I have a tiny little screen, so I can't even really. This is stupid. Hopefully, I think StreamYard's having some issues. I also came into the thing this morning, and a lot of the different doodads had looked more, they changed the little clicky things to make them more. I don't know, whatever the new style of font and all this shit is. So I think they're doing some sort of updates and some this weird shit going on. I'm sorry, though. But either way, I feel weird doing the story all over again. But Russia slammed support that says it backs deal for zero Iranian nuclear enrichment. Now, essentially, there were claims thrown out that Russia was going along with this Iranian enrichment shit. Now, the real crux of this, and it's important to me, and I do think the Russian thing is important. I think what Dave did here was he connected two separate reports, which makes sense how he connected them. There was something I saw over the weekend, too, where these reports of from Israel, these intelligence reports of some sort that's semi-official, I forget the specifics around it, that they're saying something along the lines of how, they're retrievable or, there's still some there or whatever. And, I believe there were ones that were like leaks or this or that. They were thrown out earlier in the past, but this one's more official, so a little bit more like pucker up the butthole kind of thing. Because that Israel is kind of signaling this way, which no one's surprised. And obviously I went a little bit of a side rant of kind of like, the 12-day war. Like, let's see if that holds. Hopefully it does. But even if it does hold, that you don't get to go, oh, well, look, you stupid panicans. Like, well, congrats. You played fucking Russian roulette with a 6-bullet revolver and shot 5 times and you survived. Well, you're such a fucking genius. That sort of shit. Then also, I kind of did go on a little bit side rant. How be careful with the sources say stuff, because what that usually is those are narrative controllers out there trying to push you into one or another. And yeah, so I mean, that's the story. What the fuck is StreamYard? All right, guys. Well, let's roll through the chat, I guess. I mean, geez, guys, I'm really. So weird, dude. I'm sorry, guys. That was it was weird. I'm sure there was a bunch of you guys I lost to. Man. All right. Well, let's see what you guys got to say. Someone says if Trump released the Epstein list, it could kick off a global crisis that would ultimately culminate into deaths of more than 7 billion people and the total collapse of the world. I mean, maybe, I guess. I don't know. Have you seen the Zionist Bergen out of Charlie Kirk for having Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith debate Josh Hammer at TPUSA? It's hilarious. I haven't really seen, I've seen some people clutching pearls, but nothing that I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just not in those, I don't see those people on Twitter. I've seen some stuff where, saying somewhat stuff like that, but those are always people I dismiss anyways that, seem like fake artificial accounts. So I don't know. I don't put much stock in that. If anything, I kind of, I watched the Dave Smith, Josh Hammer debate last night, and I kind of, despite that being a Charlie Kirk audience, I surprisingly got Dave, I think, crushed. I think the audience is with him there, honestly. So, all right, scrolling through, seeing what else you could say. Like the show, guys, especially after that. What the hell? StreamYard's trying to keep a homie down. We all know that's the glowies. Someone says Randy Fine was forced to unblock everyone he blocked. I can go back to calling him a fat tub of glue. Hell yeah, well, that's cool. Everybody's guys, go out there and call Randy Fine a homo or a fat piece of shit, please. So yeah, now I'm back. Now where everyone's saying it's freezing. Man, that's just so weird, though. I still can't believe it did that. That was so weird. I've never had it do that. Because it was just a StreamYard tab, and I went back to it, and it was just like it was gone. I had to refresh it. I had to go back to it. It was very weird. Yeah, I made it into the disposition matrix. Congrats, you big time. Oh man, at least it was only a few minutes. I'm seeing you guys saying, everyone's saying it was only like 5 minutes or so. But man, that is a weird one. But yeah, everyone's saying Dave did well. He sure did. All right, let's go ahead and get into that. Actually, that's the next topic of discussion here. We have this. Let me make sure the audio is working. I trust StreamYard not at all right now. Now here is, funny you guys are talking about these Zionists. Here's someone saying, hello, 911. I'd like to report a murder. And we'll go ahead and watch this. This is Josh Hammer's, basically his intro. This is what, bear in mind, you're about to watch what Josh Hammer thought was an appropriate, introductory statement into, the argument of, I don't even really know what their point is. I guess Israel, or I guess it's sort of an Israel debate, I guess, generally speaking. I don't think they had really a well-defined, thing. Charlie did kind of take it all over the place here. Honestly, Charlie was frankly just kind of, I fucking hated Charlie, I'll be honest. I did not like him here. I get he was trying to do this, I'm going to be the moderator here, and I'm going to make sure we have a polite discussion, and everyone gets, whoa, no insults. I don't know. I didn't really like it. I felt like, it's cool he put on that whole event and got all that stuff there, but I don't know, he didn't really, I felt like he did a weird job there. I don't really know if I'd say a bad job, it was a weird job, but I don't know. If you guys saw it, you'd know. I get it, and they're like, we're trying to have exchange of ideas, and no, I don't want any insults, and don't you dare say anything that might have upset a Jew possibly somewhere. I don't know why that's a Charlie Kirk voice to me, but that's how he sounds like in my head. Anyways, no, Charlie Kirk was weird, but he played the moderator role. I just felt like he did a weird job as a moderator. I get, like, he kind of essentially padded the room is basically what is the best way to put it. Like, anytime, like, I don't think it's fair to say Dave really took, like, there's a moment almost that I will actually show you where it's debatable. Like, I wouldn't say Dave took his soul, but he at least left it in a point where you're like, dude, you're fucked. All right, after the rest of this, good luck. You didn't even, and he doesn't really address it. So, he didn't really take his soul, but he won resolutely, in my opinion. And the only reason he didn't take his soul in this debate is because Charlie Kirk wasn't there like, come on, guys. And trust me, I've actually moderated stuff with Dave before, and I'm actually very much a guy who doesn't like these, like, The View type fucking Piers Morgan type bullshit. I don't like that. I like an exchange of ideas, but sometimes you just gotta let a motherfucker kill someone. Like, you just do. And, especially when it's like, all right, well, you fucking deserve it. And if you watch this, to think that throughout the whole time, Dave was actually, one of the more behaved ones. And then the few times he would get pissy and get ready to, like, be like, okay. And then, like, get ready to, like, kind of roll into, like, picking up inertia and be like, all right, I'm getting ready to go into a fucking probably, a minute-long fucking rant where I just fucking, like, take this guy and, like, rip his head off and then just, like, fucking, like, then flip his body up and then, like, kind of, like, spread the little hole where his neck is, and then just kind of, like, just fuck it, you know what I mean? Just the body, like a big giant fleshlight. Like, essentially prevented him from doing that multiple times. Whereas Josh Hammer would try to take these digs on him, but it would be these weird gay little like, yeah. And then Dave would then try to respond, and then Charlie Kirk would be like, no, let's try to keep this substantive guy. Cut it out, Josh. And so it's like Josh with these gay little digs, which didn't ever really give him any points, just made him look like a petty bitch. But then Dave, and then kind of made it so Dave was like, oh, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. But whenever he like actually finally like, all right, he starts to get the ball rolling, like, I'm gonna kill him. And he's like, kill, and then Charlie, like, oh no, hey guys, we're just having a polite exchange of ideas here. And you're like, oh god, shut the fuck up, dude. Like there's so many times you're like, just let him murder him. Just let him murder him, and then we'll go back to the exchange of ideas. Like sometimes you just gotta let a motherfucker murder somebody. Like you just do, especially with debates. Like, and I get it, like, you know, having somewhat, like, time limits, this, that. Like, if you watch the trans... Actually, I've had Dave on multiple debates. I actually think on the trans debate and the debate with Austin, I think I actually had to, even a couple times, had to be like, hey, Dave, time's up. No, then, like, I might even have to mute him a couple times. So, I'm not like someone who's like, no, like... And I try to be, but I mean, on the flip side too. Now, if I had been like, say, I'd had Dave on like a debate, and like and Dave was being some petty bitch, and like, and the opponent decided to go in on him, I'm not gonna like, whoa, guys, like, especially if it's like, all right, well, you fucking asked for that one. Like, I mean, I get it, you do need to kind of tamp it down eventually, but I mean, to some extent, people want that shit, and honestly, it's kind of deserved sometimes. So. But either way, that's enough kind of preparing you guys, I guess, for this. You can guys watch this. I think you guys, I trust my audience enough to be able to tell why this is a completely bullshit fucking introductory little fucking salvo here.
Good news is that while no one should be afraid of debate, and this debate is a nice thing here, the MAGA movement is actually quite unified. Believe it or not, all the talk to the contrary when it comes to these issues. An overwhelming majority of self-identified MAGA Republicans supports close U.S.-Israel relations. According to a CBS News poll, moreover, after the recent Operation Midnight Hammer B-2 bombers in Iran, 94% of self-identified MAGA Republicans supported President Trump's dropping those B-2 bombs on Fort Natanz and the other Iranian facilities there. This is a wildly popular policy there. What did Dave Smith say about this? He re-upped his now years-long crusade to call for Donald Trump's impeachment. Y'all probably don't know that about Dave Smith, do you? He's now called for Donald Trump to be impeached multiple times. But Dave, you know, look, I mean, I don't like when people misquote me either. You probably don't like when people misquote you. So I actually have a little bit of a highlight reel here of Dave Smith's tweets over the years. Dave Smith, March 19th, 2024. Donald Trump is responsible for around 500,000 deaths in Yemen, and between the weapons to Ukraine and the Abraham Accords Jerusalem embassy, he is at least partially responsible for the two worst humanitarian crises in the world. He's a war criminal who should spend his life in prison. He is calling Donald Trump a war criminal who should spend his life in prison. You should be livid at that. I am livid at that as a Trump supporter. Donald Trump, Dave Smith, June 16, 2025. Trump allegedly had full prior knowledge of Israel's attacks and gave it his blessing while pretending to be negotiating with the Iranians as a cover.
By the way, I do want to, I mean, I guess to provide commentary as we go through this, maybe I probably should have pointed out a couple of the other ones, but he doesn't really like he does this like, he's just, you'll see this is clutch pearling. This is like, how dare he's saying this about Trump? He said this. He's that, like, for example, this like, oh, this. But he doesn't provide any sort of arguments against this. He just is like, he said he's a war criminal. Like, that's all it is. I got a little lightheaded there with the way too long. That's all it is. It's just pathetic. This is bitch behavior.
If this is true, Trump is the most impotent bitch of a leader imaginable.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? If that is true, he's the most impotent bitch of a leader imaginable, which has kind of been my point throughout this. And more, it is like, that is literally, it seems to be that is the play. That was at the very least, that's even what Trump sort of leans into. That's what we did. So, okay, that is what happened. So what's the defense here? Just grab the pearls? Is that it? Is that all we got here? All right.
He's calling our president, the greatest president in my lifetime, an impotent bitch.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? June 21st, 2025, Donald Trump has now launched an illegal war of aggression against Iran.
Look at him shaking. Look how performative, and even if this isn't performative, like, it's almost worse if it's not performative. Like, what a fucking raging faggot. Like, can you imagine having an adoration for any other man to this degree, aside from maybe like your father, grandfather, maybe like Jesus Christ, I don't know, Chuck Norris. I mean, obviously that one's being a little bit silly, but like, I don't know, it's pathetic. Obviously especially considering everything else about this person and the things going on at the current time and place where we're at right now. But all right.
Risk of an absolute catastrophe is very high, and the benefits are non-existent. Dave Smith, June 21st.
Yes.
Dead wrong. This notion that World War III would start.
No one said World War III there.
Not a single American casualty. We should be...
Which Dave even points out. So
celebrating that. Donald Trump fulfilled multiple...
I'm like, I wonder how many times he rehearsed this in the camera, honestly.
He fulfilled multiple campaign promises. The escalator speech in 2015 at Trump Tower, he literally said, I'm not going to let Iran get a nuclear weapon. And guess what? He said, I oppose a neoconservative foreign...
Which, if you understand, like, if you've been following the minutia of this, they are actually probably more likely than ever to have a nuclear weapon. They've changed the political situation on the ground of Iran, and the political forces there, the younger people far more want that. There's a political calling for that. They've also created the incentives to where, of course, they should go for that. Why wouldn't they? And they've also incentivized them to never be honest with them in any way, shape, or form when it comes to what they have or what they're doing. So,
policy. He did both of those things with Iran. He deprived the Iranian regime of nuclear weapon while not losing a single American sailor, soldier, Marine, while depriving them of nuclear weapons. And finally, Charlie, I'll end on this. Dave Smith.
I mean, it does kind of admit the larger context of this was part of a broader war of missiles being launched and back and forth between Israel and Iran, wherein many people did die, and we took part in that deception. So I don't know if it's necessarily fair to only look at our role as the bunker busting, dropping, and we just did some cool view, pow, 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 fuck yeah, and we're out of there, and that's the only. No, I think the rest of the deaths, especially when you take place in this, I think they're kind of on you. Yeah, you got to go, oh, we didn't get no Americans died here, but okay, but still a bunch of people died. A lot of human beings died. Were murdered. I mean, the irony here of her, I'd like to report murder. This guy is fucking, he's running, cover for murder.
Smith, July 8th, 2025. In the last month, Donald Trump has launched a war of aggression on behalf of a foreign government, exploded the debt, announced that he's continuing the Biden policy of arming Ukraine, and covered up a giant child rape operation. So according to my interlocutor, Donald Trump is not just engaging in wars on behalf of a foreign government, he is also covering up the world's giant pedophilic child sex trafficking ring, allegedly, I presume, on behalf of a foreign government as well. So I'm disgusted, frankly, that this man is on stage, but I'll end it at that.
Oh, well, do you have an argument to that? Because, I mean, I don't think this episode, as this progresses, if any of you guys watching this, if there's anyone on the fence about Josh Hammer, which I know you are not, because you are my audience, but who knows? You never know, you might catch a onesie-twosie weirdo in here. I think if you watch the entirety of this episode, you come to the conclusion, oh yeah, that was completely okay for this scum fuck to just do right there. I don't know. Maybe you're fucking retarded. The fact that he would just go, Andy covered up a child rape ring, and that's what my opposing interlocutor thinks here. That he's covering up a child rape ring. Like, okay, like, I don't know. I think it's a little bit contingent on you to explain how the fuck he is not. You can't just hand wave that away. Yeah, kind of a big deal. I don't know. As I point out here, my response to this dumb bitch saying, "Oh, I'd like to report a murder," which is what so many of these Zionist types are sharing this around like it's some big crush on Josh Hammer's part, which it is not. It is really just dumb bitch behavior. Now I point out here, I said, ma'am, like I'm the emergency line person listening. So that's some obvious emotional manipulation and appeal to blind tribalism, aka bitch behavior. I said said Dave Smith crush. And almost certainly would have taken Josh Hammer's soul had Charlie Kirk not been there to save him. I said, by the way, Josh, the degree to which you filleted a man who ran cover for child rape and dare to have the nerve to call out Dave for pointing it out is disgusting. Shame on you, scum. And I mean that. Fuck you, Josh Hammer. I don't think you're going to see this, but fuck you. I mean, I don't know. There are walls of which people like you should be. I don't know. I will end it there for in Minecraft. Let's just say that fuck you. Like, I don't know if this guy's a married man, if he has children, if he has what, but like, just as a human being, or just as a fellow man, as someone who shares, who supposedly has XY chromosomes, I'm just disgusted to share those with you. Fuck you. Like, I don't know. I really do feel like if you're a commentator in this world and that you're going to throw that out there, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's on me to have some sort of assumption that you don't know what you're talking about, that when you make references to a child rape ring, that you would just kind of like throw that away. Like, no, I'm sorry, it's a little bit on you here. You can't just throw that aside. Like when Dave says, oh, he's calling out he's covering for a child rape ring. Like, you can't just aside this. Just go, oh, he said that? Yeah, he did say that. And now are you going to deal with that, or are you just going to? Because we're all looking at here going, yeah. And frankly, as we're going to get through in this TPUSA event that happened over the weekend, that's kind of the tone of a lot of these influencers, up into, frankly, kind of a ridiculous degree, with some of the people who support and some people who are like, you'd be surprised they're out here supporting. So, but let's get into the response from Dave here, which I had some people ask me, but I almost clipped it, but I'm not really that kind of a social media guy. I don't know, I had shit going on, but luckily, I knew someone would, so I found it, because Dave just immediately undercuts it, does exactly what he should. Now, you'll kind of see, for those who did watch it, what I'm talking about, where Charlie does kind of undercut Dave here, because he didn't really get to address all the different faggoty things that Josh got gay about, because, like, let's be real, I really did kind of hope Dave would get to kind of really go in on the Epstein thing, because it's like, okay, fine, come on, let's get on. I don't know if anyone follows me on Twitter, just like, you could probably just go through my replies and it's just child rape. Because it's like, fuck you. I'm going to get every single one of you fucking idiots that are sitting here bending over backwards, running cover for these fucking people, or propaganda, and trying to, the Democrats, they support child trafficking. And you're like, shut the fuck up. And, you're like, it's going to say in your mentions over and over again, child rape. And it's not going to age well. I don't know. Is any human being, any adult male in the world, like, it's really not a great look to be like, oh yeah, that guy ran cover for child rape. And like, not a fun place to be, and good. I'm going to remind you of it over and over and over and over again. So Dave didn't really get the proper opportunity to think I'd go in on point by point on these. Charlie sort of acted like, oh, I'm going to give you a chance to. And then as he goes into, then Josh does the gay little like interjects thing with like a quick little, like not even a sentence, like a half a sentence, and then gets cut off by Charlie Kirk, and then Dave tries to respond, and then just like gay little back and forth, and undercutting him, not letting him really to get into all of it. So he didn't really get it, like I said, take his soul, but I think right here you'll see what I mean, where you're like, he did more than enough, and it kind of gets to the point I was just getting at a minute ago, where it's kind of like, here you are, just kind of, willy-nilly, it's child rape. So let's go and play this.
12-day work. Is that, let's stay focused on that.
Yeah,
we can.
Well, the thing, Charlie,
but defend yourself.
Sure.
Obviously.
Well, the thing is, Charlie, as you may have noticed, that some of you may have seen some of my other debates. Every single time I come up here to debate issues, and they come up here to debate me and my character. It's all they have every single time, because they can't actually take on any of the arguments. And so the most pathetic, low-hanging fruit of, you guys like Trump, this guy said bad things about Trump. Listen, guys, I'm a free American. I supported Donald Trump in this last election. Yes, he did just actively cover up a giant child rapist ring, and I'm going to criticize him for that, okay? And I'm sorry, after all these years of us right-wingers saying, protect the children, come on, that's bad for your soul if you don't. You speak up about that. It's horrible.
All right, and that was about the extent, honestly, for those who are looking for Dave to take his soul, particularly for the Epstein one, because like, let's be real, that is like the tender, like like every little video game where you're like, here's that one dragon, he's completely undefeatable, but there's this myth about fucking many ages ago where this one hero took out this one scale, and now there's one little area where you can take him out. Like that is right now, like the Epstein. So it was like, man, if he could have fucking navigated that circle or navigated that fucking to get there to go in on that, he could have really taken his soul, but. I mean, that's not even really what you're arguing about. I mean, let's be really kind of are, because you're talking about Israel, but I know it is kind of a little bit of a jump to get from there to there, and then also you got essentially I wouldn't say it's a 2-on-1 here. I mean, I don't think Charlie necessarily intended this to be the case, but I think he accidentally, due to the virtue of the dynamic of the three here, he kind of put his scale on it for Josh without really meaning to, because he didn't really. Dave's a peacock. You got to let him fly, You didn't let him fly. Whereas Dave's not the one to throw these bitchy little gay little back and forth like Josh does, because those are just gay. And I don't know. I think people see it, though. There's some low IQ people I think maybe do get wowed by these sort of things, but I think most people it doesn't. So I don't know. I think it's good. But all right, on to the next story. We'll get into more Epstein stuff. That's basically the majority of the show. By the way, I think I figured out what happened to the audio stuff. It did feel like a 201, by the way, says Eris. Yeah, it kind of did. By the way, I figured out, I think, what happened to the stream. I just checked my phone, and it said something about a Spectrum outage, so I think it did some weird glitchy, went in and out real quick or something, and I just didn't even notice it. So, bizarre. My bad, guys. I didn't. All right, anyways, let's get into this. So, Epstein prison video edited in Adobe Premiere. The DOJ says there's 11 hours of raw Epstein footage, prison footage to kill those Epstein conspiracy theories. Except tech nerds found it was edited with Adobe Premiere Pro, which the feedback it seems I'm seeing, isn't that like a low tier editor stuff too? I'm not an editor guy, I'm a tech retard, but from my understanding is that's I don't know, that'd be oh yeah, they did it's almost on the level of yeah, they did the Epstein video with CapCut or something, which isn't CapCut the one that everyone uses on TikTok or something? I don't know. I don't really use any sort of editing stuff. I'm an idiot, but point being is this is, from my understanding, it's some low tier shit. So it's it wasn't even because everyone I know before this were all the theories about Epstein's connections to Ehud Barak, and then Ehud Barak's connection to the Israeli intelligence. What was it, Unit 8200 or something? They're the fucking the tech nerd shit, and how they have was it Boca, I think, operate that's able to do all sorts of crazy AI shit. And then also there's I know there's, and then we end up everyone's oh, they're gonna fucking doctor it. It's and then they did, but it's even worse than that. They didn't even, it looks like they didn't even do the top tier nerd glowy shit. They're just I just fucking throw it through Adobe Premiere Pro, I guess. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that is high tier Adobe product. I don't know, but it is either way. Is we were expecting a top tier tech fucking cover up, and which is what I've been saying through others. There is no real even attempt at a cover up. It's just a slap in the face, spit in the mouth. That's what this is. So yeah, obviously I have no idea. Now the source for this is Wired. For those who want to look into it, I don't know enough about the ins and outs about tech nerd shit, if there is anything going on there, if that is legit or not. But obviously, then that's just to add one more thing to the ongoing, saga of the stupid fucking thing that is the surveillance video that was recording a fucking a common area. The theory is that they would have had to go through in and out of there because that had the only only in and out there, which apparently. The video there seems to undermine that concept. There's also a minute missing, and on top of that, now there's supposed nerd talk about that they fucking edited it in some way, shape, or form. Apparently it was stitched from 2 clips, saved 4 times, and has a random 1 minute gap. So that's that 1 minute gap. They said had to do something with an old system that every time at midnight there was a minute missing from when they swap them out or some shit like that. So I don't know. Just one more thing to add to that. And then to, I guess, maybe sell this to us, it seems like we're getting some WWE. I'll go ahead and let Bannon tell you about this gay shit. And I don't know if anyone buys this, come hit me up. I have some bridges for sale. But let's go ahead and play this. Actually, I got 1 second. I got to let me set it back up again because, of course, StreamYard is glitching out. All right, here we go. Let's go play it.
Come on, man. Okay, so breaking news. Cash Patel is being reported that Cash Patel has notified that if Dan Bongino resigns because of Pam Bondi's mishandling of what she's now publicly saying is Pam Bondi's mishandling of the Epstein files, that Cash Patel, will step down as director of the FBI to follow Dan. If I can just give you the way I think the system works, right? I assume that Dan and Cash got some sign-off before they made those statements, right? I don't think those are random statements. I'm going to cut things a little bit. Here's why do you think there's movement right now? Is there movement from this afternoon, from yesterday? You agree that there's movement? You can see movement? You know why there's movement? No. Special prosecutor. You've raised the stakes and said, we want a special prosecutor. We won't take anything else. We want to directly report to the United States. And now you're seeing the machinery starting to work. Well, upon further review, right? So do you guys still want a special prosecutor? Do you want you don't want Dan and Cash to resign, right?
Yes, I want them all gone. Every single one of them. This is so gay. I'm so sick of this. People are so fucking transparent. Like, honestly, like, I don't know what... I mean, I say transparent. I don't follow Bannon enough to really get his shtick. But, I mean, I don't know. Is he really just this fucking stupid? And I can't help but notice. He's like former, what, like Navy Intel or some shit? Or like ONI, Office of Navy Intelligence or some shit, I think. And he's always pounding around with Poso, who's fucking... what is he? Is he Air Force or is he Navy Intel? I forget. Either way, some sort of fucking former Intel. It's like... I don't know, man. I mean, of these people who run this fucking shtick, I mean, I know we have Tucker. I mean, Tucker glows too, but he's probably the one that I'm like the least, like, I don't know. Maybe I can buy some way that, like, okay, well, like, yeah, his dad glows, but he's found some way to be, I don't know. Either way, though, come on. I mean, this was being floated out, this was basically Friday-ish, I want to say, Friday, maybe Saturday-ish, pretty early on, because, I mean, we went into the weekend with a lot of people upset about the Epstein thing still, and this has seemed to be the cope they try to... Seems to be lately the move is I'm noticing a lot more news uptick around weekends, so it seems like when there's salacious stuff, I'm going to have to like start changing the days I do this or something, because it really does seem like they are like... Yep, especially when it's like, fuck, we don't want people, or we want to somehow, really, if they're really trying to force it in and ham-fist it and hope it goes through uncritically, they're like trying to slip it in right around weekends, it seems. I mean, I guess to be fair, this happened, there was this thing at the weekend, so I guess it makes sense. It wasn't like Bannon planned it or anything, but it's just like, all this information, not that Bannon, or just all of this story, this stuff being, floated out. I mean, I guess there was a big event this weekend, but either way, it just does seem like it's weird. We're having all these things continually coming out right around like Friday, Saturday time. So because it's like I almost didn't even cover this because the news cycle in my head had kind of already moved past this and it's Monday and I hadn't even technically covered it on this show. So and I do a daily show, so if I'm thinking this way. Damn near everyone's basically probably already forgotten about this. So there's already sort of inserted in the back of your head this like, oh, well, there was this uncritically accepted thing of like, oh, there was some sort of dust up between Dan and Bongino and Cash and Bondi. There's some sort of something like that, and some sort of obfuscating of who done it, who's at fault here. When at the end of the day, the buck comes down to Trump. And all of this stuff, despite, it's so funny. It's so funny. We have all this stuff being floated out, which, let's be real, this is some WWE bullshit. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a chance Dan is genuinely having conflicted feelings behind the scenes, as well he should. I don't envy these men having to look themselves in the mirror every day. I mean, I think they're disgusting scum, but there's got to be some semblance of a human being deep down in there that, fucking some days when he walks by the mirror, catches the glint of his eye and has to look deep inside and go, holy fuck, who is that I'm looking at right now? What are you capable of? What do you stand for? What are you leaving to this world? What is your legacy? I mean, like all these deep questions that any respectable man, finds themselves questioning. I don't know. I wouldn't want to have that, introspective moment if I was him, any of these guys whatsoever. But at the end of the day, this comes down to Trump. So it's just so my point being, it's like, I know Dan could be. I mean, there is a possibility there's some truth to this, but it's also like whether it's true. I feel like it's not true for one, but even if it is true, it's kind of like who fucking cares? And kind of the funny part that I'm getting at, which we will get in the next story, where I'm kind of bearing the lead, I guess, a little bit here. It's kind of the big news that Trump, all of this obfuscating, all of this, and it's all thrown away because then Trump doubles down again. Even all of his, his little soldiers out in the world, trying to spin this narrative game, then Trump just comes in and Leroy Jenkins and fucks it all up again. It just as they were trying to construct some sort of narrative off ramp. Trump just comes in, Leroy Jenkins, and just says fuck this. So I know I had more to cover on the Dan stuff. I just don't even really. I mean, we have this too. Breaking: Dan Bongino has allegedly stepped down as FBI deputy director. Announcement coming soon. So And we got then, later than we're getting all these like sources say. So this is like kind of the rant I was getting at earlier with all the sources say, beware of sources say. I mean, remember we were getting sources say when we were getting rift between Netanyahu's party and the Trump administration. And look where that led to, where we are basically probably about to likely fund probably concentration camps here soon for billions of dollars. So that's fun. Not only are you guys, I know we have this tired old, what would happen if I lived through slavery or if I lived through the Holocaust? Well, congrats, you're living through it and you're getting stolen from to fund it. So, and you're fucking, the people you voted for are too much of fucking cowards to say a goddamn word about it. So anyways, but then also then CNN then goes and undercuts this saying, that, then Bongino denied that, denied that, but later denied leaking the notion. So, not that that it was true or not, just denied that it was happening. But let's go ahead and I guess just get right to what we're talking about here. The lead that I've been bearing here. So here we go. Let's go ahead and read this. When was this? This was the 12th. So, shit, man, this was on Saturday. Man, all this happened. This even more goes to my point. This must have all this stuff happened like Friday night, Saturday morning-ish. Or actually, between Friday night to Saturday night, all of this shit seemingly happened. Because this is Saturday at 7 p.m.-ish. Give or take. And then here's Trump. So over in Truth, he says, "What's going on with my boys, and in some cases, gals," which is going to be the new intro for the show. What's going on with my boys, and in some cases, gals. They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we losing publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world from the Russia hoax of 51 intelligence agencies, the laptop from hell, and more? They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton/Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. And now my so-called friends are playing right in their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up the JFK or given up on the JFK or Martin Luther King Jr. files. No matter how much success we have had, securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. We're about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has ever achieved in over 100 years, and we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our greatest or to be our complete priority. The left is imploding. I actually completely disagree. You guys are imploding, and you guys are completely giving the left the ability to restructure. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. That's after everyone trying to give him the out of like, just fucking fire her or throw her to the bus. Nope. Still not doing it. You try to spin this one, MAGA. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she's looking into as AG and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. By the way, I want to be very clear. The debate with Josh Hammer happened on Sunday, and there's like everyone was aware of this, and everyone in the commentator world had responded to this by that point in time. So Josh Hammer was fully aware of this. So yeah, double down, completely threw all that out the window. More on this. Here's Trump. He got ratioed on his own platform for this. So you can see here, 17.3K comments to his 16.7 likes, this is his own platform, and he's getting ratioed over this. So not looking good. And then on the note of like, how is MAGA receiving this? Here is one of his greatest warriors, the greatest of his warriors, the Benny Johnson. See this thing I've just paused at right now? I didn't even mean to, but if you're a video watcher, look at it right now. I'm sorry for the audio guys. He's doing the perfect little like purse mouth, like he's getting ready to do like the thing that like, when mommies and daddies love each other and like, I don't know, type thing, and, when you're getting ready, kind of like a, get a little foreplay type stuff, but kind of actually in the action, like he's got that face right now perfectly. That's a perfect description of what Benny's role is to the Trump administration. And despite all of that, here is Benny Johnson's response to this, whatever this is.
Okay. So President Trump has acknowledged that the Epstein files exist here. President Trump has acknowledged that the files were written and that there is something there. He says that they were written, however, by his enemies and therefore will not be released. Whoa, what? That's new in this entire zeitgeist. This is something that is wildly interesting. And then he goes all in on supporting Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. No mention of Dan Bongino, where all of this, again, sort of transpired. Okay.
Yeah, they're not liking it. Let's see more. This is from the Turning Point event that I've been referring to this week, and there's going to be a lot of clips from this. And my buddy Clint says his commentary here. This is incredible. You don't get more Trump's base on the TPUSA event. Listen to these boos. So let's listen to, I forget what this broad's name is. Laura Ingraham, I think? All right, let's go and play this.
How many of you are satisfied? You can clap. Satisfied with the results of the Epstein investigation? Clap. Okay, I told you to clap. You guys aren't listening. I'm not going to grade you on a curve. So I was going to get to that. How many of you are not satisfied with the results of the investigation?
Hey guys, all the polls say no one cares though. No one cares. Well, let's see where I mentioned Tucker earlier. Let's see where Tucker is on this very important issue. Let's see. Remember, keep in mind, Tucker has been very, slow to directly criticize Trump. So I think this one kind of takes a bit of a detour in that regard. So pay close attention to that.
The cover-up has been going on since 2007, almost 20 years. And so the real question is not, was Jeffrey Epstein a weirdo who was abusing girls? Yes, we can answer that. The real question is, why was he doing this, on whose behalf, and where did the money come from? And those are the questions that need to be answered. And I think it's entirely fair to ask them. And it's not adequate to say anyone who asked them is somehow desecrating the memory of little girls who died in Texas. Are not going to put up with that answer. I don't care who gives that answer. That is not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That is never
his dad.
For him.
I'm being a little bit silly. I don't think his dad technically worked at CIA, but like he was basically CIA, Voice of America.
Prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting U.S. president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that.
All right, well, let's hear more from the Trump supporter types. We have Matt Walsh. Let's hear his take. He says, "We want justice. That's what the people telling us to move on from the Epstein case don't understand. We have a deep desire for justice down in our bones, in our souls. We see how the corrupt and the powerful are never held accountable. We see violent criminals running rampant in our streets. We want these evildoers to be punished. We want the innocent to be vindicated and defended. We want justice. It's one of the most basic and most honorable of all human desires. So no, we can't just drop it. Give us justice. Which on that, Matt Walsh has actually posted about this multiple times on the weekend on this very thing. At the very same time, while his boss, Ben Shapiro, is going around saying anyone, essentially implying, or I think he actually straight up may have said it. Anyone who's saying otherwise is, falling is crazy conspiracist and this and that, kind of throwing these things around. And then you have his, kind of number one guy out there, completely signaling the exact opposite. While Ben Shapiro is, perceivingly, for me at least, seems to be going to a ridiculous degree to run cover for this. So then you have his greatest warrior, essentially, narratively speaking, fighting back. So interesting time. But not everyone is on this. We have the powers that be out there still pushing against it. I found this particularly interesting. Here's a video of Stephen A. Smith. He is with, what's his face in this? With the Cuomo brother in one of his podcasts. So we're going to watch a video, but Jason Whitlock quote tweeted this to bear this in mind as you're watching this. Stephen Smith works for Bob Iger, head of Disney. Bob Iger is very close with Ghislaine Maxwell. Bob Iger's son, Robert Maxwell Iger, is named after Ghislaine's dad, Robert Maxwell. So he's literally named Robert Maxwell Iger. And he goes, plant's going to plant. This is the content they pay $100 million for. So bear in mind, the reason why I'm kind of pointing this out is because this is the Stephen A. Smiths, the Cuomos, was it Chris Cuomo? I always mix up the two. This is what they're trying to, the corporate media are trying to somewhat fall into this. And obviously, they're not technically the corporate media. They're kind of doing their own thing. They kind of have to. But I guess whatever is that what used to be it and carrying on to the new thing, this is them floundering. This is, I don't know. I don't really know enough about Stephen A. Smith because he hangs out more in the sports world. But I think he's been doing a little bit more like kind of political commentating as of somewhat late. So it seems like he's trying to fill that role of the empire trying to strike back so far as the corporate media side of things. But I don't know. I don't feel like it's working too well, but I guess at least we should check in on what they're saying over there. 1 second. Give me a minute. I got to fix the audio. It's doing the gay audio thing again. My bad. Stupid StreamYard. Man, I don't know what's going on with it these days. It's like, I don't know if they're doing they must be doing like a bunch of updates or something. All right. 1 second. Here we go. Now it should work.
If you're a Republican, if you're the GOP, I mean, the big, beautiful bill was just passed. Even though the deficit is going to escalate from 3.3 trillion over 5 trillion, assuming you believe the Congressional Budget Office and all of this other stuff. I mean, with all of these things that's going on, with the 2017 tax cuts reserved, with so much stuff that's going on that the left didn't want to happen, that you on the right said you wanted to happen, with the borders being closed, supposedly that being handled, with migrants being escorted out of this country in droves, according to you, and what you wanted, you're in an uproar off the Epstein list. That's all.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. It's child rape, Stephen. Child rape.
All you've got, it's really, really.
Yeah, child rape again. That's what we got here.
Surprising that this matters. Of course, I think there's a list, but I don't know. I suspect, but I have no knowledge.
I don't even think there's actually a list, to be honest. But that's beside the point.
Nor do I care. It's Friday night. I'm getting ready to go out and enjoy myself. I'm getting ready to have a nice weekend. I could give a damn about the Epstein client list. This has no effect.
Okay, now this is what some people do. They go, who gives a damn? Oh, shit, we got immigration. We got, whoa, fuck, man. We got this over here. We got that over there. Oh, man, how fuck you be caring about that? No, nobody don't care about that. Oh, why you won't be caring about that, man? I got to go buy some beers. I'm going to try to find me some nice tail. I mean, that's what I'm concerned about this weekend. Why do I be caring about no child rape? By no child rape, that don't affect my life. Yeah, okay, well, we're talking about the federal fucking government, you stupid fucking fuck. Like, of course, no fucking shit. The majority of things you're talking about are going to be things that affect you less than your day-to-day life. No fucking shit. This is a stupid talking point. Okay, then don't talk about federal fucking issues, because that is going to be talking about things on a national level. Like, so no shit. So like oh man, well my daughter and my kiddos, I mean they be doing this and I be doing that and I be trying to take over the ballet class and like you be talking to me about some fucking child rape over in DC. Why the fuck I be giving no shit about that? I don't give no fucking shit about that. Why be I get no good shit about that? Oh, some fucking child rape. Yeah, because we're talking about the federal government. We're talking about federal individuals, people who interact in the federal government on a national level who are likely implicated and being blackmailed by these people. And we're also talking about things on a large level, like obviously on your day to day. Oh yeah, of course my life ain't gonna be on a day to day level. Ain't gonna be no victim by no goddamn fucking at least being blackmailed about no goddamn child rape. But like on a national level, it's a fucking problem, obviously. So this is fucking stupid.
For me whatsoever. I have a life. I don't understand for the life of me why this matters so much to these. I'm talking about people losing. They're crying on camera. They're talking about resignations. They're pissed off about everything. I'm like, really? With all the stuff going on in this country, with all the power that you possess because of the cachet and the influence you have because of your connection to this administration, that's why you upset at Trump. I didn't blame Trump one bit for looking at them and saying, really? That really matters to you? Oh, really? You care about no child rape? Some fucking child rape? That's really that important? Now, maybe he had a different reason for saying it, trying to be evasive or whatever. I don't know. But I do know this. In the grand scheme of things, it ain't going to affect the lives of over 2 to 300 million Americans. I think we'll be...
Well, then actually, this comes back around to, no, you're wrong. So, like, I guess if you're saying, like, on the individual level, your day-to-day lives, but if we're talking on a broad level, yes, this does. So this is the kind of the fast and quick game they sort of play with you. Like, oh, well, man, why do I be giving no fuck about this? If you look at my life, and you're like, okay, well, yeah, on your specific individual level, yes, of course, this doesn't matter. But when we zoom out and look at a national level and look at how these things affect everyone collectively, yes, if we were to quantify it on the individual level, it's borderline meaningless. But if we're talking about a federal issue, kind of a big deal.
Just fine without knowing whether or not there was really a client list. I think we'll be okay. It's unbelievable that this is a big deal.
Believe it. It's going to continue being a big deal. Now, as I kind of was a little rant, I mean, it's almost like the through line, I think, of today is beware of sources say, or especially when you see fucking all these fucking faggots like this guy, Mike Benz. Oh, going back to the I'm not even going to read this and have a critical fucking analysis of this. So, I don't know. Okay, maybe I'm being a little bit too hard on him here, but I know I read this article already. I know I see all the influencers sharing this around. Oh, Ghislaine Maxwell's killing now. Oh no, Ghislaine Maxwell's going to say some stuff. Oh, are you fucking stupid? Like, she's the one who got fucking convicted for child prostitution. Like, she's gonna be the one giving you truth. You also do realize that, like, I know apparently there's, in this article we're gonna get ready to read in a second. There is, she claims that she hasn't, done any deals with the government before, but I find that very doubtful, especially since, and if I recall correctly, the timing's a little bit dodgy. I might be wrong. I believe it was the Trump administration when her shit went down. So. The first one. So I think, and essentially a lot of the reasons why you don't know a lot of stuff is a lot of the shit got sealed. And I would assume, I mean, I'm no lawyer, but it feels like something you would have to have some sort of back and forth, i.e. a deal with the government to kind of come to terms with. So point being, it looks like she likely already, probably her and her legal counsel probably work together to make sure all this stuff is shuttled off in whatever way they can. So now, Ghislaine Maxwell's supposed to want to come out here and tell you the truth. And especially, so let's go ahead and read the article. So I think you'll get what I'm getting at. It's not a long article. So here we go. So it says, this is from Daily Mail. This is where everyone's floating this out. This is completely just sources say. So exclusive, Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, is ready to reveal truth. The Pepstein. Someone should make that like a fucking... I don't know, that should be something. The Pepstein, like the Pepsi, fucking whatever. Is ready to reveal truth of the pedophile client list, says insiders. So why are Republicans blocking her? This is from Carolyn Ingram. So Ghislaine Maxwell is willing to speak in front of Congress about the Epstein files. Sources say, tell the Daily Mail. Maxwell, 63, is the only person behind bars, serving 20 years on child sex trafficking charges, despite the fact that pedophile Jeffrey Epstein allegedly controlled the web of underage girls. Additionally, Epstein's victims allege they were passed around as sex toys to his wealthy friends and billionaire business associates who regularly visited his homes, including his private island, Little St. James. Now, a source said, despite the rumors, Ghislaine was never offered any kind of plea deal. So there you go. She would be more than happy to sit before Congress and tell her story. No one from the government has ever asked her to share what she knows. She remains the only person to be jailed in connection to Epstein, and she would welcome the chance to tell the American public the truth. What the truth is remains to be seen. So, I mean, I don't know, my spidey senses already go up right there. Keep in mind, they're trying to minimize this. It seems to be she's likely probably made deals with the Trump administration before, and here she is at their complete and utter, worst time, coming out going, oh, wow, I'd be open to talk to Congress. Just saying. I know. To be fair, though, if this is what I'm alluding to, I mean, while I'm not trying to give the establishment, I guess, any hints, this is what you should have led with. Because the alternative, what you did do, was incredibly insulting. At least this, when I'm implying, would be like a decent cover-up. You're like, oh, well, now Max Swing comes out, you have some sort of, or Ghislaine comes out, you have some sort of fucking Congress hearings, you make a big show of it, this, that, come to find out, oh, this was all blown out of proportion, and, this is basically you can essentially make it some version of modern-day satanic panic or something. Obviously, I don't agree with that, but I'm saying so far as a cover-up, that would have made way more fucking sense than just them coming up and whap right in the face and just fucking right in our mouth, because that was the alternative here. So anyways, she was convicted in 2022 of her role in a scheme to sexually exploit and abuse multiple minor girls, Epstein, over the course of a decade. So he goes, Maxwell argues she should have been protected from prosecution as part of a non-prosecution agreement made by Epstein, her former lover and boss, in 2007 when he agreed to plead guilty to 2 minor charges of prostitution in a sweetheart deal, which saw him spend little time behind bars. And now controversy continues to rage over the DOJ's statement that there is no Epstein client list and the release of videos from inside New York's Metropolitan Correction Center, which the DOJ says proves he committed suicide in 2019 while being held in jail on sex trafficking charges. Critics have pointed out the fact that there's a crucial minute missing from the jailhouse video that also does not show the door or instead the inside of Epstein's jail cell. The scandal and alleged cover-up has prompted a rebellion amongst President Trump's loyal MAGA base. Some even believe Attorney General Pam Bondi should be fired after promising to release all files relating to Epstein and his high-profile male friends, only to apparently renege on that promise. Saturday night, President Trump posted a rebuttal to accusations of a cover-up on social media site True Social, saying, for years, is Epstein over and over again. By the way, I don't know, I almost didn't even address, I don't like the fact they said high-profile male friends, because there were, I guess the high-profile ones were probably mostly male, but there were definitely females involved in this, and that's actually kind of a key role. Actually, if you look at a lot of these structures like this, they typically employ the women too. It's kind of sick. They get them in there as victims, and then the victims, they kind of groom into being, perpetrators, and then, kind of the cycle continues. Anyways, I didn't like that. I know, not that I'm like some, sexism. It's just, I know that's just not true. It goes both ways. All right, the Epstein cover-up was also a main topic of discussion amongst attendees at weekend student action in Tampa, Florida. Sharon Allen, an attendee, told NBC News, it's not even about Pam Bondi to me. It's like Trump, we elected you because we were supposed to be different, so you have to prove to us you're different. Source close to Maxwell told Daily Mail that the former girlfriend of Epstein, who continues to protest her innocence, would welcome the chance to sit in front of Congress and tell her story. So as the source said, congressional hearings have been held into everything from JFK's assassination to 9/11. The Epstein files rank up there with those cases. Ghislaine would be willing to speak before Congress and tell her story. See what I mean? If you look at this with a critical eye, even the tiniest bit of critical eye, and take into account the current context, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that would be the obvious cover-up. Maxwell's also fighting to have her appeal heard by the Supreme Court, so she's literally working an appeal. July 14th, lawyers for the U.S. government will submit their response to her plea for the Supreme Court to take up her case. So, man, can you imagine? Yeah, they're gonna, man. Watch, they'll just end up just fucking giving her appeal, and we don't even do the congressional hearings. So it'll just be she gets out, because I swear it's almost as if they're just trying to piss us off at this point. So they'll seed this out and give us It's almost like, and honestly, given the track record, it's swear it's like the loyal sycophants try to find the off ramp, and then he just Leroy Jenkins it. So I can literally see this being like all the sources stay, perfectly aligned things to be like, we're gonna have congressional hearings for fucking for Ghislaine, and then just like the next day we'll receive, Trump pardoned her, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Or she'll get a repeal or whatever. So you're like, are you kidding me? And then it'll just be like crickets. So I don't know. Watch, that'll be what happens. I mean, obviously, I don't know. You'd think they have too easy of an off ramp for a cover up here to roll into to kind of save face, but they haven't taken any of the off ramps so far. Just keep doubling down, despite the loyal soldiers trying to create them over and over and over again. Just furiously creating the new little off ramp, just ding 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 with their little hammers, out there, their little rhetorical hammers and wood and ding ding ding, and then just fucking. Then just next thing you know, just Trump just keeps coming in like the Kool-Aid man, knocking over their fucking ramps over and over again. So we'll see. Trump was photographed with Epstein several times, and they ran the same circles. But Trump was one of the first to break all contact with Epstein because they fell out over a business deal and Epstein's treatment of women, the informed source said. So once again, this is a source. They're seeding in. They can't even help themselves. Like, you'd think if they had a little bit of a discipline here, they would be like, just don't be too obvious. Like, lay off. Like, they know this. Like, you don't even need to say this. Like, whoever the source is or whatever the deal is, like, they don't need to say this. Like, the sycophants out there will say it for them. They've been saying it. Like, if anything, this is honestly to be kind of the tell that the source, that they would, the source would say this, and it would also go to print. You'd think someone would just be like, oh, no, they'll just connect 2 and 2. Like, you don't need to, do not make it like the source seems in the bag for Trump already. Because, I mean, for one, this is a stupid talking point. Because it's like, this can be true. I know everyone brings up, Trump's the one back in whatever the fuck, he kicked him out of his club. And you're like, okay. I mean, I don't know the circumstances there. He probably did kick him out of the club. Maybe it was over the child thing. Maybe he was really like, I don't like this guy, I don't like him around here. And maybe he did have blackmail on him. Like, all of these things can be true at the same time. He could have kicked him out of his club. He couldn't be. So the idea, like, you kicked him out of the club. Okay. What does that prove? That proves fucking nothing. That proves they had an issue at some point in time. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. That'd be like, I guess, like, look at the Tower Gang breakup. That'd be like if you try to apply because, like, we had some sort of Tower Gang breakup or something. Like, and then you're like, let's say we were, being implied we were committing some crazy crimes or something. Like, they broke up. And you're like, okay. And? Anyways, going on. There are no big shocks about Trump and the Epstein files. This is still the source, by the way. But there are a lot of powerful men involved and a lot of money, and it will come down to following the money. There you go. See, once again, so this is, I don't know, it can be, there may as well just be saying it. The DOJ has said no one else is likely to be prosecuted in relation to the Epstein case, including Prince Andrew, has been accused by Virginia Giuffre of allegedly sleeping with her when she was 17 underage. All right, anyways, that's the end of that article. But yeah, don't fall for it, guys. Be careful. Just saying. All right, let's roll for the chat. Spend a minute. I said I'd already be out of here, but I got one more thing for you guys. And then we'll roll. Spot on Fred Sanford impression. Oh, was that Fred Sanford? The fucking black boy, man. So, if you don't think it's a big deal, then you know what you're talking about. Says Hustle. Scrolling through. If you haven't checked her stuff, please look into Kirby Sommer. She's phenomenal research. I'll have to. The name sounds familiar. She's not like other girls. Says Comment Mama. I'll have to check her out. The issues that we need a list, we already have it. The issues of cover-up showing complicity, basically confirming their compliance. Exactly. Still wild to me. Tower Gang's gone, says Tom. I'm sorry. All right, one last story. Like I said, I'm supposed to be out of here, but I can't help it. This is a little thread edited over the weekend that I was just kind of blown away, and I was going to show you the video for it too because I thought you guys would be interested as well. But once again, just real quick rolling through that. I'll try to. God damn it! Sorry, the internet's acting up. So I made a tweet. It said, "So just learned a thing. What the fuck?" And then I put a picture of Space Relations by Donald Barr, which I had just learned about this. And then I put the attached also a meme from Breaking Bad with Jesse's character going, "They can't keep getting away with it." Now, what is Space Relations, you may ask? Well, let's let the great Daryl Cooper tell you all about it. And yeah. If it'll load.
One of the facts about this whole case that just,
it makes you think like that we really are living in a simulation or something, like, 'cause it's just too insane and crazy to like be real. Is the guy, the headmaster of the Dalton school who hired Jeffrey Epstein. This was back in the 1970s. The headmaster of that school who hired this guy who had dropped out of college with no teaching experience, who would go on to become one of the most famous heads of a pedophile ring in the history of the country. His name was Donald Barr. Donald Barr just happens to have been the father of Bill Barr, the attorney general who arrested Jeffrey Epstein in 2018 and then oversaw the prison where he committed suicide, quote unquote. And so that's an interesting coincidence.
Small
but it's
world,
also an
man.
interesting, it's also an interesting coincidence that Donald Barr also used to work for the OSS, which is the precursor to the CIA, of course. Don't know about his connections to the CIA like in later years, but he worked for the OSS back in the day. And he had a side gig. You know, he liked to run a private high school. That was one thing he did, but he also he was an author. He was an artist. You know, he liked to write. So his thing was he liked to write pulpy science fiction novels, right? And he has one called Space Relations. And this is all true, man. Like, people who haven't heard it yet, and I know a lot of people have, you can look this up on Wikipedia. This is totally mainstream. This is not reading between any lines or anything. He wrote a book called Space Relations, which was about a guy who was taken as a slave to this planet where all of the elites on this planet breed children so that they can sexually abuse them. There are scenes in there, like in one of the opening scenes when the guy's being taken away on the spaceship to this place to be traded, where a crew, the members of the crew, they rape this 15-year-old girl in front of them. And then the story as it goes is the woman oligarch that he gets sold off to as a sex slave takes a liking to him, and he kind of becomes her partner, and he starts participating in all this. And he and her are abusing all the girls and everything. And so this is the guy who hired Jeffrey Epstein, who just happens to have worked for the precursor to the CIA earlier in his career, who just happens to be the father of the attorney general who arrested and oversaw the death of Jeffrey Epstein in 2018. And Bill Barr, of course, I mean, he's a CIA guy himself, obviously. He ran the agency back in the day, and back in the what was it, during the, I can't remember if it was Church or Pike, but during the hearings in the 1970s when the CIA was really under the gun, Bill Barr's first job out of college, he was an intern for the CIA, which sounds like, okay, whatever. But he was a legal intern whose job was to be the liaison between Central Intelligence Agency and Congress during these hearings. So, I mean, this is a very important gig that he had here at a very critical time in the agency's history. So this is a guy who, especially given his father's pedigree with the OSS, was embedded all through, this period of time. And while Jeffrey Epstein would have been at the height of his operations in the 80s and 90s, he would have been very aware of all this. And so,
all right, I think that's enough on that. You get the idea. Yeah, space relations is a insane thing to think about that exists. Sounds to me like that's probably Donald Barr's origin story, if I had to guess. This is sort of the dark shit that I think is hidden behind the curtains. As I was kind of getting at the idea of, victims become perpetrators. I mean, as dark as it is, I mean, we see the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world. I don't know. For all I know, he could have been some poor, sad street urchin that got taken in and selling his butthole, for all I know. This is honestly the way of these rings. And I know they mentioned a woman oligarch that was sort of his little, the one who took over whoever the main character of the story is. But it's okay, well, that's actually pretty common too. That's kind of why I made a point. I wanted to mention the male thing earlier. If you do really get in the weeds of these, it's very, very common, especially for characters who do end up later playing roles as being leading men in these sort of creepy networks of whatever they are. It is very common that you look in their past and there's some sort of older woman that played, that typically have some sort of sexual relationship that played a similar role to them. Weirdly enough, funny enough, that comes to mind is David Koresh. He was banging some old lady, and there's some weird glowy stuff in his past. I mean, that's the first one that comes to mind. I guess that's a little bit more dubious, obviously, but here's some other examples of weird shit that kind of fill this role of what space relations does. I know we've talked about before. I put here even more fucked up when this is one of many such cases. Here's the final jihad from Martin Keating, who was the brother. Here's from BTH Bill, good follow on Twitter, BTH_Bill. He says, Oklahoma Governor Frank Keating's brother Mark wrote a novel about a man named Tom McVeigh blowing up a building in Oklahoma City, who was later apprehended because he committed a minor traffic violation years before that very scenario played out with Tim McVeigh. Then I also put, and we can't forget about the 1962, and I put Kennedy is shot in 1963, book written by a man who claimed to have served with Oswald wherein a disgruntled Marine defects the Soviet Union. Thornley, the author, who also claims to have discussions with two men, one of whom he believed was a CIA officer, about assassinating Kennedy. He's also one of the founders of the belief system Discordianism that sounds like every other fucking glowy-ass cargo cult, I said. And then I said, I'm almost certain there are other examples that I just don't recall at the moment, and likely ones I've never heard of. Let me know if there are any others you guys think of, and thanks to Daryl for the grim initial piece of info that I wasn't aware of. It said it's also dark. Make sure to love those most important to you, and remember that's what matters most. We can realize our lives are good or make them good while still realizing there's evil in this world and refusing to look away. And I put from Always Sunny because of the implication, that meme. And I also do want to let you guys know this is from Daryl and Scott's new show. It's called Provoked. They named it after after Scott's new book. And I said it's like if GSP and Anderson Silva at their peaks went on a world tour being the shit out of lizard people, but instead of with fists, they use words, logic, ideas, etc. So I do recommend you guys go check it out. It's a good show. And with that, guys, I think we're probably going to go ahead and get out of here. I stayed longer than I was supposed to, as I always do when I say I need to get out of here, because I guess, I don't know, I'm a liar. Let's go ahead and shit with that. There's a sci-fi novel called Darkhold, which is about cloning girls for sex slavery. It's like Zorro Ranch, a novel, says Black Eye 808. Okay, well, I caught my eye. I was hoping maybe you'd have something else in there, like written by this person or during that time or whatever. Maybe more will come on that. But anyways, let's go ahead and get out of here. I do want to remind you guys, if you do want to support the show, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment. Leave a what am I trying to say? Leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. I don't know why that slipped my mind. Follow me on Twitter at TerraGangJose. All of those ways you can support the show without even chipping in a single buck. But if you do want to chip in money and help in the best way you really possibly can with money, do that over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level is $2. That's where you get access to early episodes. I keep about 4 or so at a time behind the paywall. So that's weeks of paywall content with my schedule. You also get access to an ad-free RSS feed. You get access to Telegram. You get access to the pre-show and priority for the call-ins on me and Austin's live weekly call-in show, Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on both of our platforms. Whew. And then also at the highest level is my sponsors. I read them off every episode. It's a big thank you to them. I have my co-host in Tower Gang used to be my co-host Tower Gang at Tower Gang Toad. Also at Brigade D's, at ZOVRACK, at _InfantZeal, Tim Tuttle, at Jolin Klebold, Will Bells, Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine, big fan of the show, Torrin May. And I have a new one at Wayne, W-A-N-E, Taculus, T-A-C-U-L-U-S, and also Jordan Peterson. So appreciate you guys who support me over here. I love you all. Appreciate everyone who joined us today. And I will see you guys tomorrow, unless I end up picking up a shift or anything. I don't plan on it as of yet. But with that, guys, I'll see you all tomorrow. Enjoy this outro. And I will see you all tomorrow at, I guess, roughly 11 a.m.
When we were in Monessen, Pennsylvania, shooting the steel mill, Peter's upstairs. We were up 2 or 3 floors. You had to go upstairs to get to him. We had an explosion behind him. We make the explosion hot. We're ready to go. I went upstairs and I was carrying, I don't know, about 8 Oreos in a stack. I'd hand him his weapon. I'd say, Peter, safety's off. And he wouldn't take the pistol. And he says, Robo wants an Oreo. And I looked at him and go, no. It's just you and I, Peter. Robo doesn't get an Oreo. If Peter wants an Oreo, Peter can have an Oreo. And he clip-clops in the suit over to the edge of the railing, and Peter starts bellowing, Robo wants an Oreo. And like the steel mill just echoes, Randy has Oreos, or Robo wants an Oreo. And Steve Lim over the radio goes, Randy, do you have Oreos? So I stuffed that whole stack in my mouth, and then crunched them and let them fall down 3 stories onto everybody below me. And not anymore. And Robo got upset.
I haven't got a damn clue about Randy Moore and his fucking Oreos.